Okay, welcome back. And today we have a very special episode of a true story of transformation. I met a guy named Mike Jarrell,
Mhm.
and in my community, and a really interesting guy. And I wanted to immediately have him in my podcast to talk about his story because he truly has a true story of transformation from drug drug addiction all the way into a certified master coach and author and speaker. So uh, welcome to the show. I'm very happy to have you here, Mike.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, great. And first of all, so that the audience get to know you a little bit, can you tell first of all where do you live in? Where are you from? And a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I'm a little bit around from everywhere. I live in Corbin, Kentucky, the home of Kentucky Fried Chicken. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, I live half a mile from the original site of the where they have a Kentucky Fried Chicken there now. It's got the
Okay.
museum. I'm originally from. I was born in Georgia, and I moved to New Mexico and West Texas when I was real young, and then that's where I grew up. And then after my service in the army, I come home and my parents split up. My stepdad and mom split up, and we moved to Michigan. I lived there for 20 years, and only in the last couple of years, I moved back to Georgia and Florida, and then I last year I moved back to Kentucky. I moved to Kentucky just to get a fresh start on life and get rid of some toxicity in my life because I don't do toxicity whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, great. So you're now like a sober man.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well,
Yes.
I you know, let me touch on this real quick because people say you're sober. They think you got to be completely straight edge. I do
Oh
have a couple.
yeah.
You know, um, Sober is a relative. I'm sober from the drugs that I was using. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I still have a beer or two or drink a wine or something like that. That's but I mean from the all the drugs that I was doing and consuming, absolutely sober.
Yeah.
It's been almost 2 years now. Well, no, it's been about a year and a half now. So
Yeah. Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah. So maybe you want to carry us back into your story of the place of where your which age do you feel like your troubles started and how did it
Well,
happen or proceed?
um, in my book, I one of the first chapters it says being born on the wrong side of the womb is one of the names of the chapters, and it started right then, right from the day I was born. My mom was married to my biological father, who's in prison for the rest of his life. Uh, he he was abusive to her. They were young. He was 17 when I was born. She just turned 18. Um, but now I was there. He set my mom's face on fire. Now I had family that said that no, I wasn't there. But after going through some hypnotherapy, because there was things I was blocking, but it started pretty much since the day I was born. My mom divorced him and married my stepdad at 2. When I was 2 years old in Georgia, and that's where it all started. Because from the time I was 2 until I went into the military, I was brutally abused, physically abused, by my stepdad. And I mean, he didn't hit me like I was a kid. He hit me like I was a grown man from even that young of an age.
Mm.
So it started way back then, but I didn't, I mean, I started into doing drugs at 12, 13 years old. So
Yeah.
very young age. It was always prevalent in our home. I will say that, my parents were very open with their drug use around us. We knew about it. They did that for a reason, and I'm glad they did because as I was in high school, I went out with 3 of my friends, and they said, "Well, let's go to this party." I said, "Now, if we're gonna go do stuff like that, and be doing drugs, let's go to my house because my parents are cool. That at least I'll know we're safe." I, and I was younger. I wasn't even, well. Think back about it. I just started high school too, and um, these 3 guys didn't make it. They got some bad things, and I didn't
Yeah.
choose to go, and glad I didn't. So that's
Yeah.
one thing I can say is that people hide their drug use from their kids and stuff like that. It's one of those things where if you don't educate your children, it can kill them. Um,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
even if you don't want to tell them you do it, but at least educate them on it. That of the dangers of it because. Um, even after I got out of prison, there was times where I was and I'll explain that a little bit more in detail, but I was given what they call a hot shot, was arsenic mixed with heroin, that I thought was, it was a B12 shot because I had cancer at the time. And, I put that in my hip, to give myself my medication, and it almost killed me,
Ah,
so.
yeah,
And I used to be a heroin addict as well, and I quit cold turkey. I spent a month in a bathroom, throwing up on myself, and uh, you know, going number two on myself in a bathtub, to try to get through those withdrawals, and it was a
yeah,
horrible, horrible thing. It kind of makes me queasy in my stomach just to even think about it. So,
yeah,
just
yeah.
that's how I
So,
had to quit that. But
so you mentioned your both of your parents openly used drugs.
yes, my mom, she grew up in a very prevalent Southern Baptist home. My grandparents were very good people, hardworking people. They didn't raise their kids to be like that. As a matter of fact, her younger two sisters, my mom's passed on, so was my dad. Uh, but they didn't raise their kids to be that way. My grandfather was a Marine. He was a high level VP in many trucking companies, a very, very good man. My grandmother's, she's still alive and lives in Michigan, but, he worked for Roadway and Yellow and trucking companies all his life. And so they moved around a lot, but my mom was a rebel. She was out on her own, 17, married at 18, and had a kid already. And she just, anytime my biological dad abused her, she of course called her parents and knew they'd come running. And they didn't raise their kids like that, but she was just a rebel. So she just chose to do a different life, and it had a big effect because my two aunts have all their kids. They both have very successful kids, and I'm proud of all my cousins. I've got two cousins that are in Nashville making music and producing music, and very proud of them, because and it just goes to show that the environment you grow up into can have an effect on your life. So
Yeah, for sure, undoubtedly, undoubtedly. I think most people who really understand, listen to any of these topics, of course, it has effects for sure, for sure. But you are a great example of that. You can change the entry, the ending of the story.
absolutely. And I don't get me wrong. I do not blame my parents for what I got into, because even at 15, 16 years old, when I was doing a lot of heavy drugs, even, at that age, I don't blame my parents, because I know right from wrong, even at that age. I've been taught right from wrong. I know I had a choice in it. Is everything that I've ever done that was bad in my life, a lot of it boils down to my choices. It does not, it wasn't because yes, I was a product of my environment and the fact that I was exposed to it, but at the same time, I made the choice to consciously do those things.
Yeah.
So I blame my family. I do not blame my parents for my misgivings. It's on me. So
Mm. But your parents did know about you using drugs at 15, 16
oh,
years old.
absolutely, absolutely. I didn't hide it from them.
Yeah.
Their take was on. They couldn't tell me they didn't want me to do it. No, absolutely not. They didn't want
Mm.
their kids. But their take on it was they couldn't tell me no if they were doing it.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's very difficult to say you're doing it yourself.
And their take on it, and but I did trust them in the fact that they knew better than I did what was safe and what was not safe. So I usually did it with them. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was thankful that I was able to, that if I was going to be doing that stuff, that parents that gave enough of a care. Yes, I know that people say, well, they didn't care enough about you because they were letting you do it, but you know what? That wasn't their choice, because if they would have forbidden me to do it, I'd have still done it anyway.
Mm,
If you tell your
mm,
kids not to do something, they're going to go out and find to do it another way where you're not. As a prime example, I lived in Michigan for 20 years. There was a very affluent city there called Granville, Michigan. It's a suburb of Grand Rapids, and they were finding kids dead in cars of heroin overdoses, and they didn't even know their kids were doing heroin because they sheltered
mm.
their kids. You
Yeah.
cannot shelter kids and tell them that these dangers don't exist, because they do. And it's what I call their society's world, and then there's the real world.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
And I've lived in both sides of both of them, and it's the real world's a very ugly place. It's a very dark place, and the things you might see in a movie about the underworld and crime and everything, you have no idea how much that exists. And in white collar communities, doctors, lawyers, and judges, you wouldn't believe how many of those people are involved in sex trafficking.
Mm,
You know, it's not
mm,
thugs that are taking these people and putting them in hotels and not feeding them and drugging them up. It's the people that are dressed nicely that have money. That's who's grooming these people that, you know. And I spent some time fighting that in Michigan too, because I can't stand it. I watched my mom get trafficked in, you know, in front of me when I was a young man. You
ah,
know, yeah.
okay. So
So,
do you want to tell something about that? It might be a sensitive topic on.
well, it is, but I can't say who was involved. But my mom, my dad was I kind of followed in his footsteps. We were very big in the biker community growing up, and there was a certain time my dad was a part of that community, and just because you know, to do what to be a good wife or a good old lady, as they call it, you know, she did her duty for them too, and part of that was um, you know, running a massage parlor, you know, like massage parlor, and it was one of
Mm,
those types. You know, they had to, you know, and it was required of the females. And
yeah,
a lot of times, my mom did not have a babysitter. So at 4 years old, when she had an infant daughter, you know, I was 4 or 5, and my sister was just born. That she had to carry us to work with her.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I was exposed to that at a very young age too.
yeah, yeah. So you have seen a lot from a very, very young age for sure.
Absolutely. Um, I could tell you story. Like I said, we could make this podcast about a week long series actually. To be,
Yeah,
you
serious,
know,
whole serious.
yeah. I mean, that's all I've known. Was I was introduced to a life of crime, and you know that's what I knew best. You know, that's a lot of way. I had a little part. We lived in a small community in New Mexico when I was in high school, and you know, I worked for a local sale barn there. You know, where they sold auctioned off cattle and horse, you know, cows and stuff, and it wasn't a lot of money, you know, an agriculture based job. So I had to make money the other ways to get, you know, because I helped my parents pay the bills, uh,
Yeah.
it was up to me because there wasn't nobody else that was responsible enough at the time to do it, you
And
know.
then I do like the way you mentioned that you don't blame anybody, like your
Mhm.
parents, even if you was a kid and all these things happened. But in a way, it does feel like to me that you this there was no other way that it could have basically gone for you after all these
Well,
things.
and no, and I'll tell you why, because my path was meant for a reason. Okay. I was meant to come to this place. And I highly believe that, you know, God has a plan for everybody. And you know, people say, because I forgave my dad for all the abuse he put me through. Um, he's the only dad I've ever known in my life. My biological dad I have not seen since I was 2 years old. Okay.
Mm,
I'm almost 45. All right. And now he's in prison the rest of his life. And I can't bring myself to go see him because of the things he did to my mom, you know. He's just never been in my life. So this is the only man I knew as my father. And yes, there was a lot of times that growing up that if, you know, that was the relationship we had. So if there was times that where he wasn't beating me up or whatever, I would cause something to do just to get him to do it because that was our relationship. But later on in life, I got to realize how toxic that was. But at the same time, if people are like, how can you forgive a man like that? And I'm like, and say you loved him, but I said, because forgiveness is for me, for one. Secondly, he prepared me for a world that I was going to enter later in life. Maybe he didn't even know that almost killed me. Okay,
mm,
almost killed me, and I was able to survive that because he showed me how tough I actually was. You know,
mm, mm.
like I said, when I tell you my dad was brutally abusive to me, I mean I had 67 hospital visits before I was 16 years old. Now
Because
that
of
wasn't
him,
hospital. Yeah,
or
that was hospital visits, like ER visits. I've had to have my head drilled open for the swelling to go down because I remember a time at 13 where he was kicking my head into the cabinets, like kicking my head in the cabinets, and that's the only way he's ever got me to pass out. This man hit me like a grown man and could not get me to go down sometimes. You know, I've seen my dad fight a lot of times, and he loved to fight. He
mm,
was nuts.
yeah.
Um, even his siblings that they're all gone now and passed on too, but they would say, well, we don't want to mess with him, we don't want to make him mad, he's nuts. And my family always said that they always were betting on when I would become a serial killer just because of the way he treated me. you know
Mm,
and I have a lot of I have complex PTSD from that, a lot of that.
yeah, of
And it
course.
did for a long time, it did create those urges in me where I wanted to hurt people physically, but I didn't see those people as, their faces. I saw my dad's face there. you
Yeah.
know, and I still have nightmares about this every night. Every time I fall asleep, I have nightmares. You know, I relive
Mm.
it every single night. I don't let it define me, but it does. It still has plays a role in my life every day. This whole past week has been a rough week for me, and so I took a break from posting videos on social media and TikTok and Facebook, and that's how I come into this podcast. Was I took a break and had to get myself grounded and then refocus because I've been doing all this business by myself completely for the last few months, and
Yeah.
it's been so much and it's so overwhelming, but I've been keeping going and writing these books and doing my video posts and building my website and just getting everything registered, all the legal stuff I've done all completely by myself. But sometimes I have to ground myself and refocus, and that's what I did this week. And as they say, when you sit back and let God do his work, doors open up, and opportunities open up. And so that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking at this as. I needed to just stop and focus for a minute because I was getting way overwhelmed. And when
Yeah.
I get
Yeah. Yeah.
when I have some PTSD issues, it gets bad for not just me. So like if I just kind of lock myself away, seclude myself, do my grounding techniques, do some meditation, pray a lot, and I just keep to myself for a few days and see how it goes, because I have to be very mindful of it. Because
Yeah.
there was a
Yeah.
time I was on 30 psych meds a day, 30
Ca-
different meds a day,
Yeah.
and now I can take any.
Yeah.
So
Well, you have shared a lot of bunch of your story already, and then I would like to just go there to the grounding techniques because maybe somebody in this audience right now has had difficult experiences or traumatic experiences, and most likely, I've heard there is so many people who have PTSD, like a post-traumatic stress disorder, without even knowing it. So
yeah,
yeah, so and for you it's very obvious.
yeah.
Of course you have
Well,
like if so some of the grounding techniques, maybe you want to share some of the techniques that have been helpful for you.
I will. And before I do that, though, let me explain this a lot because we have this misconception around the world that it's only the military people that have PTSD. Now, I was in the military, and I could see that those people go through so much, and I have so much respect for them. Being, you know, I've gone through that myself. Um, and I didn't know it when I went in there. I had it before I went in there, and that's how I found out I had it was being in there. You have to, you have to, have to, have to. If you know that your world's in chaos all the time, and you wake up and you can't do nothing. You can't focus. You just drown off. Get help first of all, because you cannot do it without. You're going to need to see a counselor, psychiatrist at first. You have to get that help. Don't get me wrong, I didn't come to this transformation on my own at all.
Yeah.
I've had 30 or 26 years of counselors, psychiatrists, psychiatric hospital visits that I put myself into. All almost 30 years of that. Okay. But I will say that the grounding techniques, if you, because your brain, how it works is if it's a very powerful thing, but you can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you're getting there, you're in that mode. Once you can kind of get aware of your surroundings. You have to just say, what I do is I point and say, there's a brown desk or there's a black book, and I have to say it out loud. So I'm focusing myself on something else, and instead of all the bad thoughts and everything coming in, because when you have PTSD, your biggest the most thing you think about is death and dying,
Mm.
getting rid of those thoughts that come through your head. That's all you want to do. And I'll tell you, I've had two suicide attempts in my life where I pulled the trigger on a gun that I knew was loaded and they did not go
Mm.
off, just to
Mm.
get rid of thoughts, just to get them out of my head. And because it's so dark, it is so undeniably horrible. And people don't understand that what we go through, our nightmares, they're so vivid and so real that we are actually physically there.
Mm.
And then
Mm.
so you have to ground yourself. You have to get yourself into a place where you're not thinking about that, and get focused. And once you do that and calm down, once you start to calm down, you start to rationalize. You get more level playing, because anytime you have PTSD and you cannot get your brain to focus, it starts overheating, and then you're everywhere, and it frustrates you even more. And when you have that much stress on you, you start to get angry,
Mm.
and then anger. And when you choose to resort to violence. That's a choice. Use your hands. That's a choice. If you calm yourself, you can even upset and mad, you can still walk away and cool yourself down first, because your brain is literally overheating. So you got to get grounded first. Okay, put both feet on the floor, take some deep breaths, and say, start pointing things out. Once you get yourself focused, then you need to just, meditate or deep breaths. Breathing is a good form of meditation. And when taking in deep breaths of air, it really calms you. It's a very calming thing. You have to breathe. It's essential to life. So why wouldn't you, just stop, take some deep breaths, and that was very helpful. I used to get mad at anger management classes when they say just take 10 deep breaths, and I'm like, you take 10 deep breaths when this guy's over here just getting in your case. I didn't understand it. Now I do. I really do. You got to breathe. You have to slow down, stop yourself, and breathe, and say, okay, I need, I can't have this chaos around me because it's not serving me. It doesn't make me feel good. Stop yourself. And it is possible. It
Yeah.
is possible.
Someone might be listening to right now and getting angry themselves. How can you say breathe? But like you mentioned, by practice, maybe it won't work right away, but you need to,
Hey,
when you practice, you.
honestly, on my life, let the good Lord above strike me down if I'm lying. It is not easy to do any of this. Okay, it is a process. It takes practice. It's part of the whole growth and fixed mindset. The fixed mindset says you're just good at things you're just naturally good at. Either you got it or you don't. And we need to get rid of that mindset, because that is so wrong. Because it is proven fact by many scientific studies that if you have a fixed mindset, those people that know they're naturally good at stuff, they don't ever practice at nothing, and they stay mediocre. There's somebody that's never done something like I've had a couple businesses over my life. I've been an independent contractor, did entertainment, done a lot of things in my life as far as working, but mostly it's been for myself. Um, but this is the first time I've done something where I knew nothing about the field I was in. Well, I knew a little bit, but I knew nothing about how to approach the business, or nothing about sales or marketing. But I dove right into it, because anything you do in life, you have to learn and you have to practice. And the people that practice things, look at Michael Jordan, for example. He was actually cut from his high school football or basketball team, and he was one of the biggest basketball legends, but he practiced every single day for hours and hours and hours. He was not naturally good at basketball.
Mm,
Um, a lot of these sports players that you think are good and natural, and they're going to go. I tell you, I grew up in New Mexico, and we had to play against Brian Urlacher of the Chicago Bears. Now that man, he was not, he had some natural talent, but he practiced a lot. He lifted weights a lot. He worked hard to get where he got, and he was a
yeah,
fantastic football player. You know, he was a
yeah,
fantastic person. As a matter of fact, he was a very good person. But he practiced. He worked hard. You
yeah,
don't get anywhere without practice, and that same goes for healing. Uh, when you're in traumatic, you're in survival mode all the time. That's all you know is how to survive. In order to get out of that, it takes practice. But
yeah.
at first, it takes self-awareness, and then it takes practice. You have to
Mm,
work at it. Nothing comes free in this life. You have to work for what you need to do. And you
yeah.
got to work.
Yeah, and
So
it's great. It's also great that you mentioned that it didn't happen alone. So you got great grounding techniques and everything, but you have 26 years of counseling and all kind of help.
yes. Now my family, I'll be honest, my family has not always been supportive of me. More my friends have been, and been more family to me than some of my family has. And I love my family to death. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, I mentioned earlier, I don't do toxicity. That goes with family and friends and relationships. Because if you're not going to let a relationship be toxic to you, why let your family do it? They should be held to a higher standard. So there's members of my family that I love dearly. I don't want nothing to happen to them, but I will never speak to them again.
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
because they mess with my peace and my freedom. You got to go. See you bye. You're
Mm,
not going to be a part of my life. You have to remove all toxicity in your life. But you have to
yeah.
keep a support network of people that are encouraging, that do support you. And I do have family members that do support me. My family that's here in Kentucky, they're very small. I don't see them often, but I appreciate them because they opened their homes to me, said, here, stay here rent free. 4 days here, they gave me that opportunity to prove that I was not this person everybody said I was. 4 days after being here, I had a $22 an hour job.
Yeah.
Okay. I worked
Yeah.
there for 10 months. I made $40,000 in 10 months, but I wasn't happy at that job. As a matter of fact, that job let me go over attendance points that were not, I didn't have the attendance that said they did. I matched up, but they would never call me back. And it's a whole other story. But so I took that time when I left that job to build this business. I said, I'm meant for something better. I need to do something more. But it started, that part of the journey started more so in September, when a brother of mine killed himself. But
Okay.
yeah, I know it's kind of, it all ties in, but I kind of go back and forth because everything, flows with the
Yeah.
timeline how it started. But it's I've been through a lot. I've been through hell. I mean, I tell people all the time, I walked through the pits of hell, looked at Satan and slapped him in the face and walked out laughing.
That's great. Fuck him.
you know, and I can say that because I've been around things that had
Mm,
tried to kill me and couldn't do it. But um,
mm,
I've been to prison. I've been a career criminal. I've done a lot of things like selling drugs and counterfeiting. I made a lot of money doing that stuff, but it wasn't helpful. I mean, life was easier then because everything came to me easy. You know,
yeah.
like life was good, and I understand why. When you see music videos of people, flashing fake money around, that's all fake money in those videos.
Yeah.
But it looks but they see that and they want that life because they think it's glamorous. I'm going to tell you right now, it is not glamorous to be a drug dealer. It is not fun. It is stressful. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care if you make $1 million dealing drugs. It is stressful. The risk is not worth the reward. When I got arrested, I had $100,000 saved back. I didn't have none a bit of it by the time I was done with it. When I left prison, I had the set of clothes that I walked in that county jail in to turn myself in. I had the same set of clothes when I walked out. That's all I had to my name. I had nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So,
not a glamorous life.
yeah, and that's great. Do you actually, at this point, I would like to ask, is there in your books, do you tell more about your story and these topics?
Absolutely. I have my first one is called "From the Streets to Redemption." Choosing to live when the world wants you to die. This is my personal memoirs. It's about my life. It's a book. It's short. It's only 63 pages because, like you said, people have a short attention spans these days. I
Yeah.
even do. Um, so it's very short and sweet, but it'll everybody I've even talked to that's read it says it grabs you instantly, but it does not go into gory details like all the nasty, ugly stuff that would bring out in people. But
Mm,
you get the idea of what I've been through just by how I tell it, because my childhood was a horror story, like something you'd see in a horror movie. That I can convey that without going into the explicit details. But and that's right here, my first one that's already published. But it's called, you can look it up even on Amazon, From the Streets to Redemption. It'll be the first result popped up. Um, my second book I haven't published yet. I just finished writing it. I published the first one in April 18th. The second one is going to be called How to Find Happiness in the Worst Situations. I'm doing some editing now. I'll probably publish it by Monday. So
mm,
um,
very
yeah,
interesting. Very interesting. And so you also, I would like to ask one thing because you mentioned about the people close to you. And like you mentioned, some people can be very toxic. Uh,
mm.
so I'm sure you have had your share of this, like you mentioned. So how big part do you believe the company you had then, and maybe you changed the company to some other people? How big of a role does that have in how your life goes?
It's everything. I tell people I was the poster child for the toxic. If you had a picture of a person who was the walking talking uh uh can't what do they call it? Icon, like or mascot for toxicity, it would have me right in there. I was the poster child for toxicity. I just because I didn't want to be alone because I'd been abandoned most of my life by everybody that even people that loved me would leave me, and so I had this attachment of this very toxic bonding attachment of people pleasing and, having to be the life of the party because I didn't want to be alone. I never wanted to be alone. But it plays a huge role because I call it smart garbage. The trash will take itself out. When you start healing and you start getting rid of toxicity, those people in your life are going to go away. It's going to get very lonely. You're going to be by yourself. But you have to understand that loneliness does not mean that you're alone. It just means that you are taking a higher plane. You are ascending, you are leveling up, if you will. And the people that are toxic and that are going to hurt your life, they can't stay on that level with you. So they can't
Mm-hmm.
be around you. They will
Yeah.
be removed from your life. It'll take itself out because the fact of the matter is, when you start leveling up and you start getting better company, your life gets better. It helps because people encourage you and they want to see you do good. They will fight with you. It builds confidence in you, so you have a better choice of company. You attract better people. There was this thing that says it's a motivational speech, but they tell you that the wealthy hang out with the wealthy, not because they think that there's people out on Skid Row that they don't want to hang out with, because there's a lot of people that they relate with. They hang out with wealthy people because those people, their ideas rub off on you. Like if
Mm.
you're dirt poor and you go out and you start hanging out with the richest of the people in the world, eventually you start picking up their ideas and their ways, and you become that way because
Yeah.
everything you do, your attitude, your actions change because it's in your head. You have what they call a reticular activating system in your brain. So when you give your brain a command, it looks for ways, subconsciously looks for ways to make that happen. And that
Yeah.
goes for negativity and positivity. So when you start thinking about negative things, you gravitate towards negative people. You start doing negative things and it brings negative people because that's what you're attracting to you. It's all about manifestation and, words of affirmation. Your self-talk is huge. Okay. So when you get rid of that, you get rid of toxicity, those people go away. And then you have to spend the alone time with yourself. So you look inside you because you got to put you first. Okay.
Yeah.
People with toxicity and that go through trauma, they don't put themselves first. They put everybody else first. Okay.
Mm.
So when that alone time is for you to heal and learn how to be okay and be selfish for you. That's what it's
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great. So then when these when you started changing these negative people, kind of like just vanished from your life. Uh, so and it
I'm gonna
was
tell you what, I found peace. I found peace like you wouldn't believe. I found happiness that came from me. And I tell you what, once you're still always going to have some of those people that'll try you. You're going to have times that test you. And I still do to this day, just like I still have bad days. I'll have somebody that's might be a dear friend that'll stop by or something, and they'll be talking about all this negativity and everything bad happened to them. I'll be like, you know what? You can leave right now. I say you can come back later when you're happier, but do not get in my space. Do not, I'm not being rude, but you got to go. If you mess with my peace, you have to get away from me because that does affect me. I will take that on. I do feel people's energy, their feelings, their vibes. I pick up on that, and it makes me feel that way too. And it does affect me. So I keep it away from me. Um, Matter of fact, I spoke about the last job I just had before I started this company, and people just running around there just mad at each other, things going wrong, and I'm just smiling, just happy. They're like, how can you be happy in a stressful situation? Because it's not affecting me directly. I can't change the fact that this is happening. All we can do is keep going and keep working
yeah,
hard on it, and we'll get through it. But why be upset and mad? Because that's going to
it
ruin
doesn't
my
help
day.
anything.
Just because you're upset don't mean I got to be.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm singing my songs and just happy as all can be. I'm not gonna be unhappy just because somebody else is and they're trying to make my life. What everybody else does, I can't control. If you say something about me that's bad, okay, I can't control that.
yeah.
And if somebody wants to believe it, so what? Does
What
that
about
make it
some?
true? No.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And but what about somebody listening to this right now, and they say that, okay, yes, I've heard this and I get the idea, but I have those closest family members or somebody who are the negative ones. And you mentioned that you had also some of those family members. So how would you advise in that situation?
Love them from a distance. Keep them away from you. If you still got to talk to them, talk to them, call them on the phone. Don't let them into your personal space. Don't let them know what you're doing because it's not going to serve you. It's only going to keep dragging you down, because they're going to pick apart everything that you're trying to do right. They're going to tell you is wrong, that you can't do it. It's part of the limiting beliefs. It's number two in our. We have this 6 layers of to happiness, like an onion. You got to peel them back. It's the most important on finding happiness within yourself is limiting beliefs. Beliefs as a child, like when I was a kid, they said money don't grow on trees. Okay, and I learned this through the Transformation Academy, and it makes sense. Money don't grow on trees. Well, first of all, yes, it does, because it's made out of paper, which comes from trees.
Yeah, that's true,
but,
actually.
but um, the fact of the matter is that it creates, like, there's a scarcity in this world, and it does, because people think that they can't go after what they want. They have to save, and do all this way. We're not in the 50s anymore, folks. The things of yesterday, how it worked, where they used to marry in their same neighborhood. They married the people that they grew up with. They worked a job for 40 years. That doesn't work no more. Okay, you can go out in this job market. As a matter of fact, when people are working jobs, they look at their resume. If they have only one job, they won't hire them. Okay,
Yeah,
so the 50s don't work. And it goes
yeah,
for in your personal life too. If you have family members that are not serving you because they're limiting beliefs, and they're keeping them at a distance, keep them over here. Say, I love you, but I got to do it from over here. For me,
yeah.
it was all the way across the country. I moved
Yeah.
states away, but it's purposeful. Do I love that family? Very much, absolutely. I don't want nothing to happen to them. I love them dearly, but because if they try to hurt me, you know what? Hey, okay, you know what? You can keep that over there. I don't need it in my life. I still love you. I still have it very much in my heart for you, but I don't have to have nothing to do with you. You aren't
Yeah.
going to define my life. And that's how you do with that, because people think, oh, well, you have to. You can't choose your family. You have to keep your family. Yes, you can choose your family, because blood is not thicker than water. I've had friends come down driving their semi trucks down to Georgia to pick me up when I had family that wouldn't even spit on me or look at me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's more family than, and that was one of my best friends I've known for 20 years in Michigan. He drove his semi, took a load down to Savannah, Georgia to make sure he could come get me out of that situation. Okay. I didn't have family that would do that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's part of family. Blood is not thicker than water. You do not have to keep family in your life just because they're toxic. You do not. You know,
Yeah.
uh, sorry, if you're being toxic to a family member, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, you need to evaluate your life, because the problem is we have addicts and people we're putting in prison still, and it's getting better. It is getting better, but it is a damn disease, and there's a reason why we have these issues. And if you're not listening to us and you're putting us down right where the police or our government would, you ain't doing us no good either. You're not a true family member. You can say you love somebody, but it's your actions that match. If you're telling somebody you love them, but hey, I'm going to keep you out here on the streets homeless because I can't help you because you won't listen. Well, they've probably reached out to you many times. Now, granted, there are people out there that just don't want to change. I understand that. But for the most part, if you were in a traumatic event, you were toxic, there's a reason why they keep going back. It's because they don't have the support that they've been asking for. They need, that they truly need. And when you put somebody out on the streets, you're telling them, I don't give a shit about you. Yes, there are people out there that will keep taking advantage of you if you let them, but they need the proper help. You need to understand and educate yourself of why they are the way they are. Because
Yeah.
without education, how do you know? There's people I know say, "Oh, I tell you, my own son, all this transformation I've had, my own son decided to tell me, oh, you're just a junkie. You're living off somebody else." I said, "Okay, you believe that? Okay, you will see." And I said, I can't change it. I still love my son dearly. I don't want nothing to happen to that kid, but he doesn't understand because he doesn't know. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I can't blame
Yeah.
him. That comes from his mother telling him to put things in his head. He doesn't know what I've been doing and how I've been trying to improve myself. So
Yeah.
he's gonna,
Yeah.
but I can't let that affect me. I can't let that stop me. Okay.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a grown man. He's almost 23 years old. I can't let what he's doing affect me in a negative light. I have to prove, you know what? So what? You got to prove some things. You know what? And if people don't like it, there's gonna always be people that do not like what you're doing. They're gonna try to stop you. Keep going. Who cares
Yeah.
what people think? Tell
Yeah.
you, Warren Buffett said, you know what, the wealthiest people in the world, they don't give a crap what people think about them. They let people talk all they want to and let them run their name to them, but they don't care. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they just keep pushing through. They don't get involved in gossip. They don't get involved in drama. And
Yeah.
that's another thing. You can get addicted to drama, people. That is just as bad as a drug.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
reckon? So that's why I go back to getting help, because I'm not a counselor. I'm a life coach. So I start from the here and now, and I try to uplift people and motivate them to show them they can change. But it's no change for you. Still have to go through that counseling if you haven't had that help to talk about that past, because you have to
Yeah.
face that. You have to face those demons. You cannot heal without it. You cannot
Yeah.
heal without it. You have to face them head on, and you have to be uncomfortable, because without uncomfortability, you don't step outside that box. You will not grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's really great.
so,
And
but that all comes into the family thing. If you got toxic family, I know that was a lot to explain, but I had to explain it to be. I'm very thorough. Um, if you got toxic family, they got to go.
yeah.
That's my, you know.
And that's a good advice. You can always love from the distance. So you cannot change your family and all that, but you can like move from into the distance.
Yes, you
And
do not have to. You do not have to keep them around you, and because the more you keep that negativity around you, the more you're going to keep the negativity there. You know.
yeah, I would like to ask also because you mentioned that then you went into this place of uh, lonely, like being lonely, which was the healing process. But how quick after that did you find some new people to replace the old
I
negative
still
ones?
haven't found a whole lot of people to replace them. I tell you, when I left Georgia last year and I got here, I spend most of my days alone, and that's okay. I do have friends that, I got some neighbors that live next door to me that are very, very good people. I got a couple of people down the road I go hang out. That is two couples that I hang out with. That's it. Okay.
Yeah,
The reason why I do that is because there are people out there still that would love to, just that are going to test me. They're going to say, "Hey, I need some help," which they know I have a helping spirit. And then
mm,
I say, "Okay, well, I'll help you in this manner." Okay. And then they'll say, "Well, I'm broke. I need well, sorry, this is how I can help you. Take it or leave it. But if you really want it, you'll be there. You'll show me. I don't buy into the whole sob stories anymore. You got to show me something. I've had to
yeah,
step up and show myself to people, and it sucks, but you have to, if you really truly want something, you'll go after it. We go after the things we want. So I still don't hang out with a lot of people. I keep my circle very small, and it's good for a reason, because the more people you allow into your life, you don't start focusing on, you don't pay attention to their actions. Okay, because actions speak louder than words. If your actions don't match your words, you are a liar. Okay. um, I can tell you that from many years of, if somebody says something, they tell you something all they want to, and they can make it sound sweet as pie and be the nicest person for weeks, months. But if you're not watching their actions, they'll tell you right away what they're going to do to you. So
yeah,
I don't keep a lot of people in my life even now. I'm not lonely though. I mean, there are moments where I feel that way, but I get over it pretty quick, because I can go talk to my buddy next door who's working on an apartment. I can go to work with him, help him. There's a lot of things I can do. There's a lot to live for in life. I have things I make myself, because happiness comes from right here. Okay.
yeah,
And once you're happy, you don't care about being lonely, because if the people can't match your energy and what you put into a relationship, they don't need to be in your life. And that's how it shows you how to keep those toxic people out, is by being alone and being happy within yourself. That'll show
yeah,
you that it's
yeah.
necessary. I spend 90% of my days and nights alone. I don't care. I'm happy as can be. I stay
So
happy.
yeah, so it's much better to be alone than fill your gap, be with negative people just because of you're afraid of
Absolutely.
loneliness.
Yep, because that's only gonna bring more negativity and toxicity. It's just like when here's a good example. When you say you get up in the morning, you run a little bit late, can't find your keys, car battery's dead, or you got a flat tire, you're late for work. What happens? Your whole day goes downhill, right?
Mm,
You can reverse that, because the same that goes for negativity, it happens for positivity. You wake up, you might not be feeling the greatest, but you calm yourself, be accepting of, the things around you. You can't control everything. So
yeah,
if you can't control it, you can't change it, don't worry about it. Accept it and move on. Be grateful for what you do have. That's where it all comes from. Gratefulness, acceptance, and forgiveness. Those are the three main things: gratefulness, acceptance, and forgiveness. You have to accept things first. You have to be grateful for what you have, and then you have to forgive everybody around you and forgive yourself. Okay.
yeah,
Now, I've heard a lot of people say, "I'll never forgive the people that hurt me." Okay, why not? The Mayo Clinic says forgiveness is the deliberate action of letting go of resentment and anger, because that's where you don't forgive somebody. You're resenting and angry. You're angry at them for what they did. They don't care, or they don't know. One of the two. Okay. So forgiving them is letting go of that and say, I'm just not going to let it affect me no more. It's not excusing what they did, or, what happened to you. It doesn't make it right. You can forgive somebody and them not know you forgave them. Okay. And it can free you. Forgiveness, or not forgiving someone is like taking poison and expecting someone else to die.
Yeah.
So think about that. If you don't forgive somebody, say if you wrong me and I don't forgive you, that's like me drinking a big bottle of bleach and expecting you to die.
Yeah.
That's not going
Yeah.
to work out very well for me, is it?
Yeah. It's
um,
not.
but
Yeah.
forgiveness has to start with you. How can you forgive somebody else if you can't forgive yourself?
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
you can't
Exactly.
change what you did in the past. Just like, I did a lot of bad things in my life. Okay. I'll be the first to admit I did a lot of things that, were, they were justified, but it doesn't make them okay. I can't do nothing about it. All right. Yes, I'm going to meet my maker one day, but I'm going to meet my maker with the fact that I accepted that I did this. I asked for forgiveness. I forgave other people, and I lived the best life I could do and help and love other people. Okay.
Yeah.
That's, you do that
Let
and the whole world will change,
Let's
you
start
know.
from there, actually. Forgiving
Okay.
yourself. So, what kind of advice would you have somebody who feels this immense amount of guilt of something they did or something they didn't do or whatever? And how can they forgive themselves?
Accept it. Accept the fact that you cannot change it. Okay. It's not going to change your situation. It's not going to make it any better dwelling on it. Because if you dwell on that, you're just keeping it there. You're keeping that wound fresh. Why do that to yourself when you know it doesn't make you feel good? You know that's the exact reason you don't feel good. So you can't change that fact. You can't change how other people perceive you. All you can do is change your behavior. Because when I was in the prison boot camp, uh, one of the worst corporals to ever have to deal with there. I mean, the guy, I respected him a lot. He was actually a very decent guy, but he was a tough person to deal with. He said, you are not defined by what you did. You're defined by what you do with it afterwards. He said, just because you're in prison, just because you're in here, does not mean you're that person of what you did to get you here. He said, it's what you do when you leave this place after 90 days, what you do with it after that, that's what defines you. Okay. I
Yeah.
can go out and rob a bank tomorrow. Okay. Yes, I was done wrong. Be a criminal, go sent to prison. But when I get out of prison, if I go rob a bank, I just told people who I am. Okay.
Yeah.
If I get out and I change my life and I dedicate my life to helping others, what I did then doesn't matter. Does not matter. It's what I'm
Yeah.
doing now.
Yeah. You
It's
have
because
transformed already then. Yeah.
people focus too much on the past and the future, but you're missing opportunities right in front of you because the past is gone. Can't change that. The future is what could happen, and it's great. But it's not here yet. So live
Yeah.
in the here and now and do what you can now, because there's opportunities abundantly right here in front of you that you're missing. Who cares? I mean, you got to remember the past to remember where you came from, but there's a reason why there's rear view mirrors are very small in a car and the windshields
Mm.
are very big. And I
Yeah.
always say, don't look behind you because we're not going that way. We're going forward. Keep
Yeah.
looking forward. Don't look back here. You can look back there once in a while and say, okay, that's right. Now I remember why. Stay focused on why you started. Look back once in a while and say, okay, that's why I don't want to go back there. Let's keep going forward.
Yeah. You're gonna
You know?
collide if you keep staring at the rear view mirror when driving a car.
Exactly, exactly. So if you keep living in the past, how are you ever going to move forward in the future? You're missing things that are passing you by right now. You
Yeah.
might have an opportunity knocking on your door right now, and you miss it because you're focused on the past.
Yeah, yeah, that's really great. I think that's the best place to start. I strongly believe that it's actually quite impossible to forgive someone else if you still have this, this guilt for yourself. What do you
Absolutely. And
think?
there's nothing in this world that anybody has done so bad that warrants a lifetime of basically isolation in prison. Because I'll tell you, I've been in a real prison. I spent time in a real prison myself for the crimes I did. That was nothing nothing compared to the prison I spent in here for 26 years.
Mm.
This is the worst prison you can be in ever.
Mm.
You free yourself. If people want to talk about freedoms, like freedom in America, you ain't free unless you free yourself from here. If you're
Yeah.
free in here, because then nobody can keep you down. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I started. That part of my healing journey was in prison. I was in prison, and I was starting to get happier, and learning how to be okay alone, because even though I was in a bleak place and a very dangerous place at that,
Yeah.
there was nothing in there that could ever go through what I went through in here.
Mm.
This is the worst place that you can torture, but it can be the best place to bring yourself from. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
what happens is thoughts create emotions, which create behaviors. So whatever
Yeah.
you're telling yourself and thinking about, that's going to create emotions in you, good feelings or bad. And then you're going to act on those because of those emotions. Because everything we do in life, this is people say, well, I handle things differently. Yes, you do. But everything you do in life is to be happy. That's what, as human beings, we're all the same in the fact everything we do is to live a happy life.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal, is to live happy. Well, how can you live happy if you're living up here in this negative space? That ain't making you happy. That ain't serving you. So why keep doing it? And that's
Yeah.
where the addiction to drama comes in. You have to ask yourself, do you want to be happy? And then if you do, you have to sit down and do the work. You have to figure out what's not serving you, what makes you feel that way. It's called anchoring. You have to find those triggers. You have to put yourself in those positions to make those triggers happen, because you're already doing it anyway without subconsciously. So you know, do it on purpose to figure out what makes you feel bad and what doesn't in those situations. That way you can remove them, you know,
Yeah.
and then replace them with empowering things that, okay, this makes me feel good. This is what I want to be and who I want to, deal with, and what I want to do. Make sure it's what you want, not what everybody else thinks you should do, because that's a limiting belief. Do it for what you want to do. You got to get to your true authentic self and really delve deep into your heart, what you want to do and what's going to make you happy. And if you don't know, you need to sit down and figure it out, because it is not that hard to figure out. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer until I found out what they're necessary evil, but they're scum sucking.
Mm.
Those guys don't, they're rough. But it's what I had planned for my life is not what I'm doing. I've been in entertainment. I've been a DJ. I've been a tattoo artist professionally
Yeah.
for many years. What I'm doing now, it brings me purpose. It gives back. It's not about me. It's about helping others learn what I've learned. Because they have this thing called the good life, the meaningful life, and the purposeful life. Okay. The
Yeah.
good life is a hedonistic thing. It's a hedonistic happiness. It doesn't last. It's like when you get a raise at your job. After 3 months, you don't notice that you got that big raise. Okay. It's temporary. But that eudaimonic happiness, that happiness that comes from within, comes from living a meaningful and then eventually a purposeful life, to where you're giving back, you're contributing something to other people without any expectance of any. Now granted, yes, in my line we try to do, get paid, but my priority, okay, and I'll tell people this all the time, my priority, yes, I do need to make money in it, but my priority is to help somebody regardless of whether they can pay. I don't care if you can pay or not. Let's get you the help first. We'll worry about the rest later. And that's when I was
Yeah.
telling you, I'm trying to get these speaking engagements, writing these books. That's where I can make my money. That way these people out here that are homeless walking the streets, I can give them
Yeah.
my service for free.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm trying to make a living for those that can benefit, because there's people out in this world that just lack motivation, that that are doing okay, that they can afford to pay for this message too. Okay, and that'll still help them and inspire them, but it's for a bigger purpose. It's to help these people that can't do that, that don't know how, that need that help, that don't know how to actually reach out, because there's a stigma of with mental health, and they call them co-occurring disorders, mental health and substance use. There's a stigma that either that I'm a burden, I don't want to burden anybody, or I'm ashamed of what I did.
Mm.
Recover out loud, reach out. There's people that want to help. You know what? We've all done some embarrassing crap. I tell you what, I've done embarrassing crap when I was high and everything like that. I've done embarrassing crap when I was sober too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
either way, it doesn't matter. Who cares what
Think.
people think about you? Get yourself
Yeah.
some help. What people think about you is not going to help you. It's not going to, it's not going to make a difference. I could have people say, "Oh, well, you were a drug addict and criminal." Yes, I was. But you know what? I own my stuff. I tell it to the world because you know what? Nobody can hold it over my head. Say, "Oh, well, you did this." Yeah. So what? Everybody knows that. Tell me something about me I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really rare for people to go out there and with their own face and name and everything and just share what happened and you know to help other people out of there.
Yes, and you know what? I will tell people, anybody, if you need help and you can, if you can afford it, find a life coach because you know what? We're the people that have been through it. We have our niches for a reason, because we've been there, we've done it, you know, and we've overcome it. You know, we're
Yeah.
the ones that can help you. Now, don't get me wrong. There's no replacement for psychiatrists and counselors, but they talk about the past and what's wrong with people. I like to talk about what's right with people. Positive psychology is huge. Um, you know, I don't
Yeah.
care about your past and what you did. I care about what you can do and your potential because every human being in this world has the potential to do greatness. Be great. You know, let's focus on that. Let's get you there.
What would you give advice for somebody who has maybe had rough times or whatever, you know, like even PTSD or something? Then
Mhm.
when would be the proper time to go to a therapist or a counselor, and when would be the proper time to go to life coach instead? Or should it be
Uh,
in combination or
it can be in combination. You got to do what works for you. You got to figure out what you need, your needs are. I know I customize my program to a client's needs because some of the people that I do work with, even the free ones, they don't trust a counselor or whatever, you know. And granted, I can't give them counseling advice. I can't diagnose them, but I can tell them what worked for me and what helped me
yeah,
grow, and you know the positive changes I've made, and that does work, you know. And they're based on you know cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, and NLP, which is neuralistic uh, language programming, which is your self-talk and you know your actions, things you do and tell yourself. Those products work because, and CBT is changing your perception of what you think and how you perceive a situation. It's very simple procedure.
yeah,
When I was in prison, we went through they made us go through advanced substance abuse treatment. It's called ASAT. When the lady was teaching, she said, "This is not drug rehab." She goes, "This is they call it advanced substance abuse treatment," but she said you can use this as CBT. You can use this in every aspect of your life. It's true. It's changing how you think about a situation, or changing your "I have to's" to "I get to," or what if
yeah,
you know. Okay, say I'm going to go to college. Well, what if I fail? Well, what if you graduate? You see
yeah,
the difference? Okay,
yeah, exactly.
or I have to pay my bills, or I get to pay my bills. Okay, there's a lot of
Yeah,
people that can't, you know what I'm saying? So if you change those things that you say to yourself, that's part of the NLP. You change how you look at things. Okay, it's
yeah,
like how about like if say okay, well this person did this and they're saying all this about me. Okay, yeah, it's dragging me down. Well, now you're just
yeah,
blaming them for you want to be down. You're playing a victim role because there's a victim role. There's you know there's three different roles, and I don't have them right off the top of my head, but one of them's they're the identity versus ego. Our ego tells us what we think we are, you know, and tells us who we are on that little voice inside. It's usually a bad thing, but our identity, who we really are, you got to
yeah,
get down to that because people can say all they want to, and people are still trying to run my name through the mud. I don't care because they don't know. They don't know who I am. They don't see this smiley face every day. You know, they don't
yeah,
have a part of me. They don't sign my paycheck. They don't stop me from doing what I'm doing. Okay.
yeah,
Um, so it's just how you look at the situation. Okay. If that person's talking crap about them, if you got a problem with it and it makes you feel bad, if you have a chance, confront them. Say, look, why are you saying this about me? Why don't you come to me if you got something to say about me? You know, at least have me there, but otherwise, or you look at them and say, you know what? You don't know nothing about me. Turn around, walk away, and don't let it bother you. Because you know what?
yeah.
Their words don't have any bearing on what you do. Because the people in your life that really matter, because really nobody's opinion of you matters because you can prove people wrong. I mean,
Mm.
um, you know, you can really do things. People, you know, I always tell people, if you tell me what to do, I'm going to do exactly the opposite. Okay. But if you
Yeah,
ask me to
yeah,
do something, I'll be happy to help you because here's the
mm.
thing, you can't tell me I can't do something because I'll prove you wrong. You know, I can do
Yeah,
anything that I put my mind to. Okay. And you hear that from a kid, you have to just, you know, bear with it. So a counselor, I'm going to say immediately, if you're that bad and you don't know where to start there because they are helpful. Okay. Life coach, you need to have to help you, motivate you, to lift you up, be positive, because that's an investment in yourself. Okay. You're basically paying somebody to be your accountability partner, to kick you in the butt, to make you do the things you're not going to do on your own. Okay. That's
Yeah.
very important, because people don't want to get up and do anything these days. They'll get up and go to work, and they'll work hard. Yeah. But they don't want to change anything else about themselves that could make them great. They're okay with being, but they want to change their life because they're not happy in life or whatever, but they don't want to do nothing about it because they don't know how. Okay.
Yeah.
We're basically what I said, we're life skills teachers. We teach you how to do things differently, think outside the box, and improve your life, because we don't do it for you. My programs, you have homework to do. You have to work at it yourself. I cannot do the work for you. I can only show you, teach you what I know and how I did it, and then show you how to, the process to do it. You have to do it on your own. So we teach you how to change your life yourself. The counselor is going to teach you how to deal with your past, and how those situations don't have to define you, how you can cope with them, how you can make things better, and how you can ease it off of you. Okay. Because they're focused on, because you got to face that past. You have to face it. Okay. In order
Yeah.
to move forward, you face what's blocking you. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't scream around it. You cannot hide from it. So they're necessary in helping you facing those demons. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you to, now, once you face those demons, you kick them in the balls, and you get them out of your way. That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what my job is. That's the best way I can explain it. They're going to teach you how to face them. I'm going to teach you how to get them out of your way.
Yeah.
How to
Yeah.
deal with them. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so it can be in combination of both, but your best bet is, if you have never been through any kind of therapy, that's where you need to start. Counseling, it does help. I still call a counselor. I still call a counselor to this day. When I need
Yeah.
them, it's not as often as it used to be, but when I need them, I can call on him at any point in time. I
Yeah.
still use. Okay, it's
That's
okay
really.
to be. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong.
Yeah. I really appreciate that approach. I think a lot of people got a little bit more understanding of the what might be right
Yeah.
for them, and
Yes.
and
And I need to make money too, but my priority is to help people first. Okay, that's my passion. I don't care. Now that doesn't mean I'm just going to take on the whole world by myself at one time and give everybody free. No, but those people that truly need the help, that don't know where to start, I'll even tell them, hey, I'm not in this just to make, I'm not in this just for me. I will send you to that counselor. If I'm not a right fit for you, I'll send you to the
mm,
counselor first, or even somebody else that can help you. That's why
yeah.
we have a mapping and an hour consultation with people first, so we can see if they're going to be a fit. Because if I can't be a good fit for my clients, I'm not doing them a service. I have to
Yeah.
be okay, with them, and they have to, we have to build a rapport. So, and because I'm not going to just, my clients say they're going to have to deal with me every day. Pretty much they're going to have we might only do 2 or 3 sessions a week. They got to at least know that I'm going to be there every day. They at least
Yeah.
got to check in with me, or I got to check in with them, because I got to know in order to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. But the way you present yourself and your openness, it's very easy to communicate with you. I really believe, like any people work with you, clients, it will be a really joy to working with you. And there is actually, this is a little bit long question. I was thinking that we won't have so long anymore for this time. Maybe we have the series of episodes, but whatever. But
Hey, if we have to do it a second or even a third, I'm happy to do so, because I mean, there's a lot I haven't even touched on. But if we can do a series, I'd be happy to do that with you, because I do want to share my message with this world, because I, I have a passion for helping people. There's people that need help out there, and
yeah,
I'm trying to do that.
so I asked about how to forgive yourself, which is really my opinion, the best place to start, and like it was really great advice that you had. So, but then another question: how about forgiving other people? So, how would you do that?
Um, Write a letter, even if they never see it. Write a letter, say, I forgive you of this. Write it down. They don't have to see it. You have it in your possession. Say, you know what? I forgive you for the things you did, and then let it go. Let it go. Whether you got to send it up in a balloon, you got to burn that letter, write it down, forgive them, let it go. You don't have to send a letter out. They don't have to know you forgave them. You have to just speak it out. You have to put it out there into the universe.
Yeah. And then, considering what happened with your stepdad, so I really say that you've got some authority to say about this.
Let me tell you what, I was on my way to my first high school reunion, the only one I've been to so far. I've been out of school for 26 years. Went to my first one. Uh, my plane, I got on a different plane than my ex-wife and my best friend did because they were with me. Um, my dad picked me up and he says, I have to say, and he apologized. And I said, I forgave you years ago. Um, it's a hard, I never got to say goodbye to my dad because he died while I was in prison. So, you know, it, but it's a must. You have to. Excuse me. It's a tough
Yeah.
subject. So, but
Yeah, thank you. But thank you for sharing. So I think everybody can see the emotions, and like it's real what happened to you, and you're a
yeah,
really real guy in all the way that I can see that you speak, and that's why I also wanted to have you in this podcast, because I think you, like you mentioned, you have so much to share with people and help people. So
hold up. Tough guys don't cry. I try not to. I try to put a good face on, but you know what? Let it out. People, it's okay. Because I'll tell you what, I'm not a weak person, and um, I've been through. I've proven to people that I'm capable of doing some really nasty things if you push me too far. I don't live that life. I don't live that expression, but I do protect myself, and I don't care. I have to let it out. You got to let it out. Cannot hold that
yeah,
in. I used to bottle things up until I would explode. I had a temper like you wouldn't believe, and it got me in some trouble a lot of times. But you cannot have that temper. You can't be that way. You can. That's the difference of what they call, a true bad boy that these girls want to go after. A bad somebody like that, they're willing to go down that road if they have to for their family, but they don't do it. They take care of their family first. They take care of things at home. You know, they make sure things are taken care of home. Their wife is loved and she's appreciated. You can be a dominant man and not be a jerk.
yeah,
You care your family, but if somebody messes with your family, you're ready to go there. That's what that true meaning is. They respect. They honor their families, and that's they show emotion too. A man has a lot of weight on his shoulders. This world is so about, oh, a man can't do this and this. You know what? I don't give a crap. I'll go out there and cry and just say what? Who's going to say anything about it? I dare you to make fun of me. But
yeah, and
you got to let it out. You have to let it out because it will consume you. It will hurt you.
Yeah, I've also, I meet a lot of people in my podcast who have, these kind of like little bit similar experiences. You definitely have a very tough story. But anyways, that none of them ever said, like it was any good for them to hold those emotions inside and jam them back there.
Yes, you have to let them go because when you hold that in, you're holding that anger and resentment that makes you not forgive people because it makes you blame everybody else for your life when you're the one. The hardest thing I ever had to learn was that I was the reason that my life kept going bad because I was hanging on to all that. I was not letting it go. So, and it's a hard realization when you realize that, hey, yeah, it wasn't my fault that I went through that, but it's my fault that I keep it in my life. It's my fault that I keep, you know, things keep going bad because I have to let that go, get it out of
Yeah,
me. Doesn't
yeah,
mean that it was okay. It just means I need to be okay with the fact that it happened. I can't change it, but it can make me a better person. You know, because you have the choice to how you react to a situation. So even if things are going bad around you now, you have a choice to react to that. How you react can determine your happiness or not. That's how you find the happiness within is how you react to things. Okay, yeah, well, that person said that about me, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect how I'm going to you know, go out, work hard. I'm going to love my family and not let it bother me. People too
yeah,
much they care about what people think too much. We become a society of, oh well, if this person doesn't think of you, you're not going to make it. You know what? I have all these tattoos. I've worked in a hospital. I've worked for Primerica Financial Services. It. I've worked where I wore a suit and tie to work every day. I've worked in everybody said those tattoos will stop you. It ain't stopped me from nothing. You can't stop me from doing what I want to do. Nobody
Yeah.
can. Only I can stop myself. You're the biggest obstacle in your way is yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. So, and one more question actually, because yeah, you mentioned about this identity, which is, like I also studied the topic NLP and all these other things that, the identity is the strongest force in the human kind of
yeah,
uh, psyche. Then how would you say, how have you seen the identity? Because I also meet these people and interview these people who kind of
yeah.
like, okay, they have an identity of a criminal, or they have an identity of an addict, or whatever.
What
So
happens in that aspect is that they say because they've been down that road so long that it gets ingrained in their brain that this is who I am. I can't change it. I might as well not do it. Who cares? That's who I am. You just have to accept it. Okay.
mm,
Well, that's your ego. That's your ego saying, huh, this is who I am. You got to accept it. It's kind of a snotty little thing. I'd be like, excuse me? No, 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 no. We're not going there. The way I had to do it was basically I had to say, okay, I am not who these people say I am. I'm not an addict. I made a mistake. Okay. I made a mistake.
yeah,
I, I I'm not going to pay for that mistake the rest of my life. Okay. I've
yeah,
served my prison time. I've paid my debt to society. Now it's time for me to find out who I am. I have to look inside myself and say, do I really feel this way about myself? Do I really enjoy this? Do I enjoy hurting people? Do I enjoy killing myself with dope and these bad emotions? No, that is not me. I love people. I love to go out, have fun. I enjoy life. I like to ride motorcycles, play guitar, do my artwork. I do some wood burnings that, I can pretty much burn any picture into a piece of wood that you can imagine. I'm an artist. You know what I'm saying? I love people. I love to get out. I love helping people. That's who I am. I'm not this criminal because I made a mistake. I am a
mm,
giving person. I'm a forgiving person. The best way I can explain it is to take first. If you're a believer, if not, everybody believes different. But First Corinthians 13 has a verse that says, "Love is kind, love is patient." It starts out that way. Take that love out and put your name in it, and that will change a lot for everybody. Okay,
that's
because if you
great. Yeah.
say yes, and I learned that from a pastor when I was before I got married to my second wife. He told us to both do that and then put the other person's name. If you can do that, you say, so Mike is patient, Mike is kind, Mike does not boast, Mike forgives. It really gives you a perspective on who you truly are and how you truly feel.
Yeah, what happened to us doesn't need to define us.
No, absolutely not. It does not have to define you. And when you constantly hold on to those things and keep doing those things because you want to feel numb or whatever, you're letting that define who you are. You know, and if you really, really, truly want to change, you have to define yourself of who you are. You have to do it yourself. You have to say, I am this person, and you don't have to say it. You don't have to prove it to nobody, but your actions, everything you do will show it. So when you say, "Oh, I got to go out and prove to this person," no, you don't, because your actions will show that person. Okay, they will see it. Truth always comes to light. Nothing, a lie will never ever stay. That gets found out. But who you truly are, authentically, will show and shine to the world without you ever having to say it.
Yeah,
It'll show. You know,
yeah,
um, I tell people all the time that you can say I did this and this, and how can I teach people how to change their life, because I did it. If you want to say that, I'm a very happy person. I don't have a lot of wealth yet, but I'm rich because I have spiritual wealth. I have an abundance of just joy, and those are sometimes way more uh appropriate and way more blessed they serve more as a blessing than anything. I don't have this apartment I live in and my office and everything I have in it is the first things I've had in my own in 7 years because of my actions, but it's mine. Nobody else
yeah,
helped me pay for all this stuff. I did it. Okay, because I'm not that same person, because back then when I was doing all that stuff, everything got taken away from me. I mean, I
yeah,
lost over hundreds of thousands of dollars in my motorcycle and people stealing from me, but those were things that were, some of it was, illegally gotten. Some of it about the way life I was living. Everything I have now, I have done myself and purchased myself. And it's not about material things, but it's because I don't have, my point is, I don't have a lot of physical wealth. And who knows, I'm planning on it one day. I got that mindset of, hey, I'm going
Mm.
after this and I'm going to make it to the world. But it's not, I don't need it. It's something that's just going to come because I'm working hard towards it. But everything in my, that makes me happy, it makes me joyful, is how I treat people, the things I aspire to do daily in life. That's what gives me wealth and abundance. I feel that I'm a very rich person because I have great, I have total life change that I just, it amazes even me still,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's so much better when you don't serve all that negativity. It just, it makes life so much more abundant. I appreciate even just going out for a walk, because sometimes I get so consumed with working. I work 17 hours a day. Let me tell you this: these people selling all these courses on Facebook and all that, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be working but 4 hours a week. I'm an entrepreneur. I made $10 million in 3 months." You're a liar.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur, when they start out, has to work very hard. Yeah, they might get to
Yeah.
that point and scale up eventually and they work less, but that doesn't happen overnight. I've been at this 5 months, and yeah, I've gained a lot of ground in 5 months, but I'm not anywhere close to where I want to be or where I'm gonna be. But I'm keeping working on it until I get there. I don't stop
Yeah.
for nothing.
Yeah.
Um, but and I'm telling you, just having my own business has already been freeing and relaxing. I don't feel as, I still get stressed because of PTSD. I have a lot of extra stress than most people do, but I'm not stressed for the same reasons. I'm not stressed about, I get up when I want. Sometimes I don't go to bed till 5 o'clock in the morning because I've been up working all night. I'll sleep till 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll get up, I'm raring to go again. uh,
Yeah.
happier, you have a lot more energy, you're able to do more. But as long as you take those steps, if you put something in your head, say, this is what I want to do, your brain will actually look for ways to make it happen. And as long as you take the steps towards it, you're not going to get it right all the time. Okay. I use the Thomas Edison thing. He said, I didn't make 2000, I didn't fail 2000 times. I found 2000 ways not to make a light bulb, but it led
Yeah.
me much closer to attaining my goal. When you keep that
Exactly.
mindset, you take the steps, you will get there.
Yes.
It's so, I mean, I don't need flashy cars and big houses yet. Maybe one day, but right now I'm happy doing just building this thing. I'm building a foundation of hope for people. And
Yeah.
that's more important to me than all the extras that come with it.
Yeah.
So,
I think I definitely feel it, and I really believe the audience can feel it as well. And thank you for doing this mission. I think the world really needs more people like you. And let's say that something happened and this really went viral, this episode, and it reached 50 million people. Then what would be your final message for them?
would be it would be, stay humble and don't sacrifice yourself for anyone or anything. Stay the same. Just be who you are. Be who you are. It doesn't matter. I tell people all the time, I'm very brutally blunt and honest. I won't even lie to save somebody's feelings because, I tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, because I'm not going to change who I am. Okay. That's how I act with people, because if I tell you a lie to save your feelings, I'm not doing you any good. You know,
Yeah.
Constructive criticism is good. I want people to tell me when I'm messing up, what I'm doing wrong, because it shows me how to improve. I don't take it
Yeah.
as a bad thing. Is that makes me a bad person? I take it, okay, that's where I need to improve. Let's get it. Let's do this.
Yeah.
You know, use those moments of where people are trying to bring you down as moments of possibility, but stay humble. You know,
Yeah.
uh, remember that you didn't always have it. And I find that people in recovery and people that have been through a lot of trauma do tend to appreciate things more because they have to work harder for it, and they do stay more humble. But there are those that let it go to their heads. Don't ever let it go to your head. If it went viral today, I would still try to help people, even if they couldn't pay, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a
I would
great
still
that's a
be
great attitude.
trying to,
Yes.
yeah, trying to go, still, knowing my roots and where I came from, not forgetting the people that helped build me up, never
Yeah.
forgetting, those that helped make stuff like this possible. I
Yeah.
mean, I haven't made a lot of royalties on it, but I made some, you know. But if people want to buy this, it's on Amazon. They raise the prices, so it's at $15.25 for the paperback. But if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free.
So
You know,
Amazon, and can you repeat the name of the book?
the name of the book is called From the Streets to Redemption, and it does have a subtitle, "Choosing to Live When the World Wants You to Die." It's on Amazon. I know it's on Goodreads too. Somebody else I was talking to said it was on Goodreads. And I am, like I said, probably Monday I'll probably be done editing and publishing my second book. It's called How to Create Happiness in the World, or How to Find Happiness in the Worst Possible Situations. That I'll be publishing through Kindle Direct Publishing as well.
Yeah.
Just because I don't have a lot of money to be using a big publisher or anything, or to promote it. I would like to do a book tour or even speaking engagements, like, you know, going to schools or even anywhere. I'll speak to anywhere. I'd love to. My goal is to stand either on the TEDx stage or stand next to Tony Robbins saying, "Let's
Ah,
get
great.
this."
Yeah,
You know,
let's
one day.
get it.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be the greatest thing in the world for me, to be in those great minds that have already come before me. I'm not trying to recreate, you know, or reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to follow in their path and help spread you know, similar messages like they are. You can do this. You have it in you if you believe in yourself. You just got to believe in
Great.
it. You start right here with me. I make my life. I make my destiny. I make this happen. Nobody else can do it for me. Start right here. Everything you
Yeah.
can do, start right here. You know. So
Yeah. So from streets to
from the
redemption
streets to redemption.
by Mike
If you go on,
Jarrell. Remember to check it
yeah,
out.
Gerald, if you search it on Amazon, you just put From the Streets to Redemption. When you scroll down a little bit, it'll be the first book up there. So
Okay, that's really cool. And then any other place where people can reach out to you?
yes, they can find me on Facebook. I have a Deacon's Legacy. My company's name is Deacon's Legacy. I do have a Facebook group called Deacon's Legacy. I have a Facebook page that says Deacon's Legacy. My personal page is Mike Jarrell. Anybody can, you know, find me there. Find me on TikTok. It's at Deacon's Legacy as well. I do have videos up there. Also, I have a website up. It's deaconslegacy.site is the site name. I do have a blog up there I'm working on. You can go, if you go to deaconslegacy.site/blog, it'll take you right to my blog. Eventually I'll have merch up there, but it has a form on how to contact me, how you can book me. You know, you can fill out the form. I'll get all the information so I can call you. I try to call people within 24 hours. But so they can get to me on my website. It tells my story, a little bit about my story. You know, it gives, you know, there's a lot of stuff on there. So it's, you know, they can find me anywhere there. Facebook. I am on Instagram. I don't use it as much because there's a lot of the scammers and spam accounts. I try not to use Instagram too much, so try not to get me there. But Facebook and TikTok are the biggest places you can find me.
That's
So
great. That's great. So
yeah,
I'm very happy to have you here. I'm wishing you a lot of success in your business and whatever you do.
I
So you're
really,
really amazing.
I have to say, I really appreciate this opportunity because I've been looking for ways to get this message out. Besides my community here in Corbin, I want to get it out to the world. So thank you, thank you, thank you. It's very much appreciated. It's an honor to be on this, to be, you know, asked to do this. So
Yeah, it's an honor to have you. And episode
thank you very
who you
much.
if you enjoyed this episode, then share it for everybody because the world needs more of this message for sure.
Please. I'm going to share it if I can. If once it hits the group there, I'm going to be sharing it out like crazy. So please, you know,
Yeah,
and come find me on TikTok or even Facebook. Like, share, follow everything. I don't care. Get it out as far as you can. That means more to me than anything else right now. It's, you know, just getting those follows so people can hear this message.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. Again.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Yes, thanks.